105 years ago today, at 5 p.m., Eddie Humphreys and the Canadian 14th Battalion were rushed from the reserve positions to try and patch a 7-kilometer gap in the front lines that had opened in the face of the first chlorine gas attack of World War I. Eddie was born in Sutton, Ontario, just north of Toronto, and as soon as he was old enough, at the outset of war, he joined the militia, the Queen's Own Rifles, and served for 18 months. He was also a newspaper reporter for the Toronto Telegraph, the newspaper that would one day report his own death. This is the only picture I know of him on the left-hand side. He was 5'6", only 19 years old when he enlisted. He had blue eyes and light brown hair. He was a Methodist in background, and he wasn't married. He did have a little brother, and they grew up in Toronto together. When his little brother was about to turn 17, they would have found out the terrible news that his big brother had passed away, serving king and country. His brother Ralph enlisted in the Royal Navy shortly thereafter. This is a newspaper clipping, again from the Toronto Telegram, stating that he had gotten injured but was on the mend. And thankfully, I can't find a war grave for him, and so we presume that he returned home safe. His parents were William and Sophia Humphreys, and again, they lived in Toronto. And this is a card that shows that he wasn't married and that he had won some medals. Here they are. The Victory Medal on the right is one I own. This would have been the memorial cross for his mum, but the notes here suggest it wasn't delivered, and I don't know the story. But I know the Canadian story. They had to hold the line in 1915 when that huge gap opened up. It was the Canadians that rushed in to fill it. They held on against all odds, and we read in the 14th Canadian Infantry War Diary on April the 22nd at 5 p.m., the same time the gas had been released, an order was received for the battalion to stand to arms, and immediately afterwards ordered to move up to the front. And they dug in, and it was during this time that Eddie died. He died shot through the head while moving into position to hold the line as ordered. He was incredibly brave. At the end of the war, the Brooding Soldier Memorial was built just outside of Ypres to commemorate the sacrifice of those Canadians. Of the 18,000 Canadians who served there, 1/3 of them were injured and 1 in 9 died. His body was never found, and to commemorate those who had no resting place that was known, the Menin Gate was built, and their names are inscribed on it. This is one panel from my grandpa's 102nd Battalion, and more importantly, Eddie Humphreys' name can be found there, with the 14th Battalion with which he served. Every evening, the last post is played to commemorate them, and has been since the end of World War I, with the short exception of World War II, where it was forbidden. It is still happening today, although the public cannot come and visit until the COVID crisis is deemed over. And so to Eddie Humphreys and the 2,000 Canadian soldiers that fell beside him in those few days, thank you for allowing us to become a nation, and for your sacrifice. To them we say, they shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.